I'm very keen that this session is something of a discussion, so rather than me just talking at you about the content of these slides, please do jump in with questions as we go along, and I might just ask a few questions just to check the level of knowledge before we get stuck into the meat of the presentation. To John's point, Head of Mobile Payments, and I'm here talking to you about mobile marketing. How does that work? That's probably quite a legitimate question. What I would suggest, and what hopefully I'll bring to life through some of these slides, is that I think that what's happening in terms of mobile payments and contactless is intrinsically linked to the marketing opportunities around mobile and NFC. Anyone care to have a stab at what NFC does stand for? Not Nottingham Football Club. Excellent. So judging from that there's a reasonable level of understanding of what the technology may be about. First of all, if you can bear with me. So in terms of the agenda, as I say, we may jump around. It's really very much what works for you today. In terms of the agenda then, a little bit of the introduction to Everything Everywhere, just so you're familiar with who on earth those guys are. A little bit about the NFC journey, and what I mean by that is looking at what's happened in some other markets, hopefully some relevant and useful insight that we could bring to the UK, and talking a little bit about what we're bringing to market as Everything Everywhere under the Orange brand very soon. I can't say more than that, or the press office will shoot me. And just a few leaving thoughts really about what that means for you guys in terms of opportunity, stuff you can walk away from today with. Okay, so a little bit about Everything Everywhere. A new company, slightly strange situation where, although we're in some ways a big established business with the legacy of the Orange and the T-Mobile brands, we're jointly owned 50-50 by Deutsche Telekom and France Telecom, and in some ways that gives us a bit of a start-up mentality and outlook on things. So we think that gives us a unique angle on innovation, new stuff that's happening around mobile. Just some stats, 28 million customers, there or thereabouts, 16,000 employees, lots of shops, large network, two very famous brands, and that knowledge and expertise from the legacy businesses about how to run a network, how to do the core operator tasks well. In here, I can't remember whether the words rampage and innovate appear, but I know that our chief exec, Tom Alexander, is very enthusiastic about some press coverage that talked about the opportunity for Everything Everywhere to rampage and innovate. And I think what that signals is just that we've got a bit of an opportunity now to try and look at the new stuff, recognise that the telecoms market is changing, and it's not just about some of the traditional business of voice revenues and acquiring new customers. It's actually the innovative stuff that we do around that for customers that's exciting and that's an opportunity for us as a business. So this rather busy slide is really trying to set up the story that says, if you move from left to right, in the beginning there was voice, and the parallel we're drawing with the physical world is that at that point payments are all about plastic cards and cash. There should be a picture of a check in there really as well, just to set the context. So then the next two boxes are really talking about the evolution from voice through text to data, interactive services, mobile media, mobile broadband, some of the changes that customers have seen in the last decade. And the reason why we like to call out those two relatively significant developments in mobile is that because we as Everything Everywhere really think that NFC will be a similar step change in customer experience. The caveat there is it says 2011, it starts in 2011. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that the world will change for everybody in 2011, okay? That would be an unrealistic expectation. Just because it's compulsory when talking about innovation to have some Japanese script on the page, but also because there's a lot we can learn from Japan. I think there's a lot spoken about how Japan is a different market. You can't necessarily draw parallels from what happens in Japan compared to the UK or other European markets. But I think what I draw out of this is that mobile contactless services were launched in Japan in 2004. They've been doing it for some time. They've had the opportunity to test and learn which services customers like, what works well and what doesn't. And really what this slide is talking to is that it's a range of services. It's certainly not just about payments. E-money is one of the things mentioned there, but this is about, yes, dematerializing coupons and vouchers. It's about tickets. It's about daily commute, train travel. It's about your membership card. Probably this slide could do with updating so there's not a VHS cassette on there. Maybe think gym membership would be a better example. But it's that range of services that are compelling for consumers. The reason for having this slide, yes, it talks about a day in the life, so hopefully paints that journey for a consumer where contactless technology is touching their life throughout the day. So whether it's the key on their apartment, their train ticket to get into the office, their day in the office, access to the office, lunch, shopping, return journey home, getting into the cinema in the evening, accessing the car park, through to the, so I've raced ahead to the entertainment piece as well. So really all of those things that people touch throughout their day, all those points where they interact with retailers and with brands, effectively contactless can be part of that journey. And again, apologies for the slightly blurry image. I'm not sure how that looks blown up, but the story that this, again, rather busy slide is telling. So we've got time running along the bottom. It only goes up to the start of last year, so you can extrapolate that the graph would continue to grow throughout the course of last year as well. The story that this is showing is that subscriber adoption and range of services and redemption points are all related. Now, that may not be a startling revelation, but I guess this is one of the classic chicken and egg conversations about when will NFC arrive, when is it worth me contemplating doing anything in this space. What you need is that alignment between devices in customers' hands and range of services for consumers to use to make that device exciting and meaningful for them. Is that making sense? I'll take a few nods as validation and press on. I want to talk a little bit about what one of our parent organisations has done in Nice, and the important thing here as well is it's not just Orange, but it's actually all of the French operators have come together to say, actually, this is not about beating one another up. This is about collaborating to give a platform that people such as yourselves can use to interact with customers. So this has been live since May of 2010. Initially launched with transport as the first application, but also shortly after that payment and some tags and loyalty applications that have been launched relatively recently. So tag reading, is everyone familiar with the concept of tag reading? I believe there may have been some discussion of it earlier. So I think actually this illustration is perhaps not as good as some others, but the idea of those four petals, as they're known, is you can see that there's the sort of green circle with the funny green whiskers coming off it is the French contactless symbol, which means if you tap here, you can interact with this object. There's also a QR code in this example. What they've done in the transport area is they've also put a short code, so effectively every customer, whether they've got a fantastic NFC phone, whether they've got a smartphone with a QR code reader, or whether they're the rest of the customers, just the other 80% of them, they can then use SMS to interact. So it presents the full range of services. What I would say is that contactless offers you a seamless experience. You tap the device, it can send you to a URL, potentially push you a piece of content, pre-populate an SMS and the number to send that to, which is an example we quite like with 2 for 1 for Orange Wednesdays. There's a range of use cases there for customer interaction from these smart tags. And this one's talking about tourist information, so you could tap it on Nice Cathedral and find out when it was built and various other interesting historical facts. So this example talks about transport, and again you can just about see where it's got the arrow saying City Z tags in a bus stop. You can see there's, no, again it's just NFC and QR. Somebody's walked off with the SMS one on that example. and in fact, one of those is green, which if you tap against that, it'll automatically enable consumers to purchase a ticket. So by tapping the passive tag in that instance, they can actually purchase something there and then. They do need the application and the device ready to go to do that. Mentioned banking launched shortly after transport. It's an example of BNP Paribas application and their promotion on their website. Card emulation on the phone. So again, if you're familiar with, for example, the Barclaycard One Pulse card, which you can tap and pay with, the same technology effectively there. And probably most recent to market, so shortage of stats or figures that I can dazzle you with on this one, but what have recently a couple of organisations have launched some loyalty applications on the device, which enable specific retailers, some for specific retailers, some for coalition, that allow consumers to collect vouchers either over the air or from one of these smart tags, and then to redeem them in a retailer using the contactless technology in the phone. And this specific example, again, is retailer specific, so it's an application that works for one retailer, and effectively they're replicating what they do currently with paper vouchers within the phone. So what I wanted to highlight, I guess, from these slides is that the underlying technology here is exactly the same as we will be launching shortly in the UK. So these guys are demonstrating that it's possible to use this in retailers with the same kind of point-of-sale systems and so on. Let's hope that's not me.